Hello, subscribe to our channel. In order not to miss new stories. My wife had been working on her special project for 4 months now. It was not her personal project, but she was the main person responsible for its success. The project was designed to save her company, Bixler Enterprises. The last 4 months had been difficult because she was forced to work hard. It was important for both and the company. There was a good chance that Bixler Enterprises would go bankrupt if the project was not completed. Sarah had a bachelor's degree from ALBG and an MBA from Wharton. She was the smartest in the family. I started working as an auto mechanic right after high school, and after 21 years, I was still an auto mechanic. I didn't care because I liked the job, and it paid well. It was enough to pay for Sarah's college and raise 2 children. We didn't live luxuriously, but we were okay. The children had already moved out, and things were going pretty well with our income. Sarah got pregnant 3 months after we got married at the age of 18. For the first few years of our marriage, we lived with my parents. They had a big empty house since 4 of my siblings had moved out. That meant we had a nanny while Arara was completing her first few years of college. Due to 2 pregnancies, the 4-year degree took her 6 years to complete. It was hard, but she made it. I always had a job and never lacked extra work if she needed it. After Sarah graduated from Wharton, we rented our own place. She had job offers from several big companies, but they all wanted us to music. In the end, all I managed to do was make her something to eat when she got home. I knew nothing about her job, nor did I want to know about high-level corporate business. I was bored. Businessmen from Europe, Asia, and South America came here. The company paid for their plane tickets and provided rooms at the hotel. They say while they were here it was expensive as hell. And because of some things Sarah had said, the company was overestimating its finances. Her presentation was important to her for the company, and for over 200 employees. Until Tuesday evening, everything was going well. Sarah came home in a new suit, a gray suit with a white blouse. She laid out everything she needed on the bed in the guest room. When it came to house cleaning, she was normal, but when it came to work, she was meticulous. I didn't understand why she needed to take out her fancy underwear, but I didn't say anything. In addition to her suit for the presentation, she had several cute cocktail dresses for social events before and after the event. I had always avoided such events, but I felt obliged to go with her if she wanted me to do it. She thanked me for the offer, but said it wasn't necessary. All the materials and equipment she needed were stored neatly in the trunk of her Volvo before she left work herself. Drove the car to make sure everything was in perfect condition. She had all day Wednesday to prepare and all night Wednesday to socialize with her guests. Sarah was so good at what she did that I felt like it would have been better if I had just stayed away from her. I was finally done. I had checked and rechecked everything. All I needed now was a hot shower and a good night's sleep. I guess my mistake was that I started going through her stuff after Sarah started showering. I thought I was helping, but it turned out to be the opposite. I was moving things around on the bed when a small white envelope fell out of the side pocket of her makeup bag. A letter from a pharmacy, but not the kind we usually use inside. There were 10 pills. I had no idea what Pren was, and the instructions were confusing. You need to take 1 pill and then a second pill. 12 hours later, I thought it might be something she got for anxiety or nerves, but the instructions didn't have meaning. The prescription was written in her name. On Monday, I put the envelope back in its place while she finished showering. I decided I wanted to know more about Preen before I told her about it. Of course, if I mentioned it, it would mean I was going through her stuff. I hate dilemmas while Sarah was getting ready for sleep. I went to our home computer and looked it up. 10 minutes later, I joined my wife under the covers. I spent the whole night awake wondering why my wife had picked up a prescription for the morning after pill, especially after I had a vasectomy. 10 years ago, the next morning I got up early, but I wasn't rested. I took a long walk, hoping it would clear my mind. I headed for home, reluctantly fearing what I might do or say when I got there. My son, I joined the Navy after high school, and was in his first year in San Diego. Our daughter Gloria married her childhood sweetheart last year, and had just moving to Dallas. That left just Sarah and I. I missed the kids, but I looked forward to growing old with my wife. She was the only woman I had ever been interested in, and now everything was. If Sarah was having an affair, I hid it well. Of course, I never checked her. I never looked at her emails or phone calls. I had no reason to do. I had no way of knowing what she was doing at work or after work. I trusted her completely. On where the hell have you been? Do you want eggs or something? No, just coffee. I didn't feel much like talking. What's up, honey? It's only 3 days, you can come if you want, but you'll be bored stiff. No, I really don't want to go, but I hate leaving you alone. I worry when you're not here. It's very sweet, dear, but it'll be okay. I'm not leaving the hotel in all this time. I'll spend most of the day making sure the conference room is ready, and tonight I'll have a nice chat with our prospects tomorrow. I probably won't even get a chance to go to. I'll be home as early as possible on Friday. I promise you a great weekend, if you know what I mean. All that sounds good, but you can't blame me for worrying. I'm an auto mechanic, and I have a beautiful and successful wife. Sometimes I get the feeling you're less interested in improving our family situation than in advancing your career. Stop be script. Always respected what you do for a living, and I've never insinuated otherwise. You raised 2 great kids and put me through college. You're a great husband, a great father, and a good provider. And never forget that I finished my coffee while she was clearing the table. Do you want me to call you? No, that's not a good idea. I'll have my cell phone off, and I'm going to turn off the room phone for the night so I can sleep. I'll call you whenever I can. I helped her load the car. She was as meticulous about that as everything else working. It would take her 3 hours to get to the hotel. They say I stayed on the porch and watched her walk away. I didn't bother to ask her about the pills I spent the rest of the morning on the porch. I don't remember worrying as much as I did now. I felt small and I felt out of my league. I was a small-town guy with a mediocre job and a successful wife. It was a wrong combination. I should have noticed sooner. I felt stupid. The best suit I owned was a blue jacket and a pair of slacks. At least I had some ties, even though they were 10 years old. I had just finished getting dressed when the landline. Hey, honey, I just wanted to let you know I arrived. Okay. You had a good trip. I guess traffic wasn't too heavy. It was okay. I'll call you tonight. I gotta go now. I'm in room 714, Sarah. I can be at my parents' house or my brother's house tonight if you want to call me on my cell. Okay? Cell phone rings. I love you. I gotta go. I took my time getting to Philadelphia. I didn't go straight to the dean. First, I stopped and bought a cheesesteak. I promised to make it a long night. I was sure I was going to do it. I parked in the hotel garage and just waited sooner or later. I had to get into the hotel. I just couldn't decide when to do it. The ringing of my cell phone helped me make my decision. I just wanted to let you know that everything has been arranged. Now I'm going down to meet some people and have dinner. You didn't forget anything, right? No, everything is fine. I have everything in my room for tomorrow. You need something? No, Ion, relax. I'm going to turn off my phone. I'll call you tomorrow morning. Okay? Laugh, have fun? It's not fun. Ion, it's work. It didn't seem too out of place. The lobby, the restaurant, and the conference rooms were full of people, so I was able to blend in. There was a nice little brochure showing the layout of all the rooms in the hotel. I walked through the different rooms and stopped at the walls, looking around the crowd. I had no idea what I would do if Sarah saw me. She would find out if and when that happened. I found an events board that listed all the rooms that were being used by the various groups. Bixler Enterprises had no rooms available for Wednesday night. I found this interesting. Sarah had said she wasn't leaving the hotel, but now I wasn't so sure about that. There were 3 dining rooms. Family casual and fine dining. Sarah didn't really like dining with kids, so I went first to the casual dining room. It only took me 5 minutes to make sure it wasn't there. I had better luck in the gourmet lounge. It was a cozy little table tucked into the corner, the kind of table people reserve for a private meeting. Sarah was wearing a black cocktail dress with a plunging neckline and pearls. She looked elegant, and her date seemed to appreciate it. I knew some people that Sarah worked with, and he wasn't one of them. He looked familiar, but there was no way I could remember him. There were plenty of free chairs, so I had no trouble getting across the room. There were candles and little crystal candle holders on the tables. I blew mine out and told him to the waiter who was bothering me about glaucoma. I ordered the usual chicken dish and sat down. The waiter served me coffee for the 3rd time. Excuse me. The guy at the table in front. He looks very familiar. Do you know who he is? Yes, that is Malcolm Main Food. He is a member of the city council. He is expected to run for Congress in the next few years. Is that his wife with him? She is very pretty. Is not this the first time I see her? She always uses that table for special ladies. If she understands me. I simply smiled at her and asked for the bill. I had never seen Sarah so sensual with a man before. She seemed to pick up on every word I said as if he was God or something. They weren't doing anything inappropriate, but it wasn't platonic or professional either. When I left, they were finishing their second bottle of wine. Now I understood why she had taken her fancy lingerie. I settled in a corner of the lobby so they wouldn't see me. 10 minutes later, they left the restaurant. She held his hand as they walked down the hall to the elevator. I watched carefully. The floor indicators. The elevator stopping at the 3rd floor was a good sign. It meant she hadn't taken him to his room. It was a bad sign when the elevator didn't go to the 7th floor. It meant she went to her room. Just in case I was wrong about something. I sat in the hall and watched the elevator for an hour. People were coming in and out, but Saran wasn't among them. I got my empty suitcase out of the car and headed to the reception desk. Even though I could show it was her husband, I had a hard time getting a key card they were given after calling the room, but no one answered. I was finally on my way to room 714 with the key card. I didn't even turn on the lights at first. I just sat in the dark in the room for over an hour. It wasn't hard to make sure she didn't go back to the room first. I packed all her and personal belongings. I didn't leave anything behind. I checked the package. There were still 10 pills left on the dresser. In a very organized manner were all the items that she would need for her presentation the day after. Next, I started to fill the suitcase. There were 24 promotional folders, specially bound, and another 20 regular folders. All of them went into the suitcase. A digital one was next. Followed by a laptop, I grabbed her purse and cell phone she had left in the room. All she had with her was a handbag and probably a tube of lipstick. I walked around the room as carefully as she did to make sure I didn't lose anything. Once satisfied, I left my car keys and my wedding ring on the dresser. Other than those 2 items, the room was completely empty. The elevator headed straight to the parking lot. I had no trouble carrying 2 suitcases, and 20 minutes later, I was on the highway heading north. It was after 3 a.m. I had no idea it had been so long. An hour or 2 later, my cell phone rang. The caller I'd showed the number of the DN UIU. Yes, where are you? I'll be home soon. That was all I said. There was silence on the other end of the line. Salesmen have an old saying, the first one to speak loses. It seemed like an eternity before she spoke. Ion. I'm sorry. She didn't ask anything and just hung up. I turned off my phone. It was obvious she had gone back to her room later that day. She had to give a presentation that would save her company and get her a promotion. I put my bags in the attic of the garage. Sarah never went there and never thought to look for anything there. Of course, at this point, I'm pretty sure it didn't matter. First, I gathered all my clothes and personal belongings. Most men have their own tools. It's usually a requirement for the job. I stopped by the store, loaded mine in the Subaru, and picked up my last paycheck. By then, the banks were already open. I didn't have to do any complicated financial manipulation. I just withdrew all the money from my accounts, ate lunch in Hagerstown, Maryland. I had enough money to live on for a few years, but I knew I would be looking for work very soon. Sarah and I were alike in that. We both loved to work. I'm going to miss her. I spent a couple hours at Luray Caves and rented a room near Gitel. Had no idea what I was going to do. It was Saturday, and I found myself sitting at the Chattanooga Aquarium watching nature I had never seen before. I spent a few hours just relaxing and decided it was a good place to be. I bought an annual pass to the aquarium, and by dinner time I had a place to stay. It was a mobile trailer in the park, but it was furnished and inexpensive. I didn't need much. The first thing I would do Monday morning would be to get a job. A good maintenance man can always get a job. Especially if he is willing to work hard, he could stay low-key until it was time to renew my driver's license or car tags. I would worry about that when the time comes. Sunday afternoon, I called Gloria. I felt compelled to inform her about what was going on. But Sarah had already told her. She was pretty frank with Gloria about what had happened. She said I had cheated, that I shocked her, that I left, and she lost her job. I felt bad because she lost her job, but that was the price she had to pay. Gloria asked her to tell Joss what was going on the next time she talked to him. I also told her I would call her about once a month to check on how things were going. I didn't tell her where I was by noon the next day. I had a job, actually. It was walking distance from the trailer park with the Waffle House halfway. What more could a man want? I don't know how they handled the paperwork, but they were paying me dollars an hour. No questions asked. I was happy. And so were they. I wouldn't even have to touch the money which I brought with me. About 2 months later, Gloria informed me that Sarah had moved out of the house and was living with her parents. Gloria didn't know anything else, but was happy that he was stable and doing well. Jose called me from San Diego, just to let me know he was going on a cruise. He was an avionics technician on an aircraft carrier. He tried to explain what he did exactly, but it was beyond my understanding. I never knew much about technical stuff. They were both careful not to say anything bad about their mother. I appreciated that. After that, everything went on as it always did. I started talking to Gloria, at least weekly. God. And I started emailing regularly. Gloria talked regularly to Sarah but said very little about what she was doing or where she was. I never filed for divorce, and it seems Sarah didn't either. I have a Tennessee driver's license and tags on the Subaru. I started frequenting a local bar a couple times a month and had casual encounters. 2 women alternated as my regular night companions. They weren't looking for commitments, and I didn't seem to work well for all of us. The life was good. That was a long time ago, and I gradually forgot Sarah over time. The Subaru started giving me problems. I had forgotten how much time had passed. It had over 200,000 miles. I was reflecting on this over a pitcher of beer one day, when I realized it had been almost 5 years. Since I left home, I kept close contact with both children. Gloria already had 2 children of her own at this time and wanted me to visit them. Jose almost married a Thai woman, but at the last minute she refused. I usually worked 6 days a week and used Sunday to recover from Saturday night. There was no good reason for someone to knock on my trailer door. At 6 a.m. on a Friday, his rudeness was rewarded by a half-naked man opening the door. The underwear of the day are disgusting, and the lady at the door, judging by the expression on her face, agreed with me. She looked away, but her partner. He didn't seem impressed. Norm would have worn pants. But at a time like this, the guests bothered me. We're looking for John Terrell. I don't know them. My name is David Simons. And this is my wife, Mara. We have a problem, and we hope you can help us. I'm so sorry. I don't work late nights. If you need anything related to your car, you'll have to go to the store. This caused several blank stares and finally an answer. It has nothing to do with your job, it's more of a personal problem. Can we go inside the trailer? It looked messy. I rarely had guests, so I rarely cleaned it. Even my girlfriends insisted we go to their place, make it like your house. Let me put my pants on right away. As I entered the bedroom, I left the door open just to show them how hospitable I am. I also put on a shirt. Would you like some coffee? It will only take about 10 minutes. I moved some things away from the couch so they could sit there. Was no answer to the coffee question. We have an adopted daughter 4 years old and another 2-year-old who needs a bone marrow transplant. And we hope you can help us. We are willing to pay you if necessary with my bone marrow. Or we don't want to use it. And we are willing to compensate you for any inconvenience. I think they want to buy it. I was acting like a smartass, and suddenly I realized it. These people were serious. They had a real problem, and they were looking for help. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue. Our best chance of finding a donor is a close relative. You are our best hope. Look at this. I don't want to be rude, but I think you got the wrong person. When was your daughter born? You will be 5 in July. Marsh Simons spoke for the first time and sounded sincere. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I had a vasectomy 15 years ago. There is no way I can be her father. Why was your name on the birth certificate? I can't answer that. Maybe you should ask her mother. That statement was received with silence. I felt sorry for these people, but I didn't know how to help them. What is the mother's name? Sarlisa Terrell. I couldn't find the words. Maybe I shouldn't. I should have taken those damn pills from her. Of course, then those people wouldn't have a daughter at all. All I thought I was over the pain. And here it is again. Old memories of my wife having sex with that damn politician from Philadelphia. I was starting to forget it all, and now I was back. Now I understand, and I apologize for my rudeness and insensitivity. I will do everything in my power to help them. First of all, because you can't or get a bone marrow transplant medically. You can't because you're not a mother. You have to be a suitable donor. Or she is a suitable donor, but she's too sick. The doctors refuse to even consider using her sick. What is she dying of? Liver failure? She has less than 6 months to live. This doesn't make sense. She's always been perfectly healthy. I don't think a sick liver will prevent you from donating bone marrow. The hospital won't accept your signature on the consent form. You're saying there's something wrong with your head. They both looked at me silently. They knew the answer, but they didn't want to say it at the moment. I didn't want them to feel even more uncomfortable 10 minutes ago. I didn't care about them, but now I felt like I had to protect them and help them. How did this happen? Could any of my children help? Maybe. But we thought you were our best hope. Why aren't they going after their father, their real father? We thought it was you. We don't have a clue who else it could be. Sarah didn't tell us anything about another possible father. In fact, she wasn't in a position to explain anything. Mara added, we got most of our information from the adoption agency. I had to make coffee and pee. Let me have a moment. I left my guests sitting while I made the coffee. It only took a few minutes while it was brewing. I went to the bathroom. Something I needed to do urgently. I tried to be discreet. There was already ashamed enough for where do you live in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I will make you an offer if I tell you who the real father of your daughter is. You must promise me that you will pursue him relentlessly until you get what you want. What are you talking about? The father of your daughter is a prominent politician in Pennsylvania. Of course, he will deny everything and probably provide you with legal documents to stop your efforts if you agree to push hard enough for him to admit that the child is his. They will be able to shame him into having a bone marrow transplant. That is what you want, right? Yes, sure. But how do we do that? I don't know. I am a mechanic. I work with metal for a living. I think the best way would be to use television, radio, and newspapers. Politicians will do anything to avoid bad publicity. You have friends that can help. Well, now they were both smiling. I must have said something that gave them hope. I think we can do this. Who the hell is Malcolm Eugene? Food is running for Senate. America. I bet he'll do anything to avoid bad publicity. The coffee was ready. But David and Marcin couldn't wait to get home before they left. I told them how to get in touch with Gloria and Jose. In case they needed them. I was sure they would help. I also asked them to tell me where Sarah was. She would probably be in Pensacola before they got back to Westchester. I got a haircut and bought a new shirt. Sarah was a cheater who ruined my life. But I still wanted to look good when I saw her. It was another trailer. But this time it was a nice new double. There was her Volvo with a flat tire and a cracked windshield. The woman who opened the door was not Sarah. She looked like she had been soaked hard and left soaking wet. She was at least 45, maybe 50, and must have had a hard life. The lack of makeup didn't help, and she just looked horrible. I didn't get a chance to open my mouth. Geez, if it's not, and Terrell never. I was hoping to see you here. I had to use the old line. You are putting me at a disadvantage. Sari, come in. Do you want a beer? No. But thanks. I'm here to see Sarah. Sari crossed the room and stopped at the dining room buffet. Here's Ion. Look at her anything you want. Her hand pointed to a brass urn that stood in the center of the empty buffet. I guess I was too late. I didn't move. Just stood staring at the container in front of me. Can I have a beer now? Sarah moved to Pensacola after giving her baby up for adoption. She bought the trailer with the money she got from Bixler Enterprises after she was laid off. She had a profit share 401k and vacation. And sick days, she eventually got a job at a local garment factory where she worked in the shipping department. That's where she met Sari. Sari rented a room from Sarah. Every penny Sarah earned tax on alcohol. She started with wine and gradually moved on to stronger drinks. Cheaper ones. She eventually lost her job due to her alcoholism and was forced to use her savings, never dated anyone or went anywhere. Sari stayed with her, paid her utilities and bought food. That Sarah didn't eat. It took her over 3 years to take her own life. Unbelievably, she had a will and left me a double trailer, and a Volvo. Sari explained that Sarah was so distraught over what she had done that she just gave up. She didn't try to prevent the pregnancy or even finish it. The adoption had been arranged months before the baby was born. She never worked again except for under-the-table jobs she did poorly. Sari said Sarah didn't seem to have any ambition or purpose in life. Sarah talked about me a lot but was afraid to try to contact me. Gloria gave her my number but she never called me. It was like her one-night stand had hurt her more than me. I was there for 2 weeks and then sold Sari's trailer for $3,000 and got $3,000 for the Volvo. 2 days later, I was in Westchester visiting my new friends David and Malcolm Jin. March. Foot resisted at first, but David and Marsh pressured him until he gave in. He insisted on DNA tests that proved he was the father to save face. They more or less forced him to undergo a bone marrow transplant, which was successful. Malcolm's political career and family life did not leave a favorable impression. His fall in the polls was so rapid that the party replaced him with another candidate a few months before the election. His wife filed for divorce and was very public about it. Sarah and I are now traveling to Dallas to see Gloria and my grandchildren. I don't know how long I will keep Sarah with me, probably until I have someone.